Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Horror Unlimited. I'm your host, Professor Gore. Thank you guys for joining me once again. Happy to be here. And I want to talk about a film that is crazy. Yes, it's from the 80s. It is from the 80s. And it is this film right here. I'm so proud of my boys. They never forgot their mama. This is the film, the 1981 classic, slasher classic, Mother's Day, directed by Charles Kaufman, who was the brother, and is the brother rather, of the founder of Trauma, independent movie studio Trauma. And this film came out around like 1980, I believe, 1980. And it was during the heyday, if you will, the golden age of the slasher films. This film here is really kind of hard to describe because it's unlike any slasher movie of that era in the sense that it does not have a high body count, but it certainly is one of the most brutal of all of the slasher films of that time. So let me just give you a general synopsis of this film. Essentially, it starts off with this scene where there's this kind of like self-help guru. He's up talking. For those who haven't seen this crazy film, he's up talking and he's giving a lecture about self-help and positivity and so forth. And the mother, whom is this lady here, well, of course, she doesn't look like that. But anyway, she gets up after the meeting is over. She gets up and she's talking to these two people. I don't want to give away too much of it. She's talking to these two people who basically think that they're tricking her into giving them a ride to wherever they want to go. So she takes them, she puts them in her car and takes them off somewhere, take them to wherever they want to go. One thing leads to another, and her two sons come out and take the lives of these two people, and then we see the credits come on with that. I don't want to tell you what exactly they did to these two individuals, except to say that it was pretty brutal. Okay. And essentially the film centers around a group of about, I think, 3 college roommates who go out camping, and while they're camping, they are kidnapped by these 2 brothers here, and they're kidnapped and taken into the home of this homicidal maniac mother who essentially was training them on how to be killers. I mean, she basically was training them on how to be killers. This movie actually was remade, I think, in 2008, I believe. And I believe the woman that the mother, the person that played the mother was Rebecca De Mornay. She was the one that played the mother in the remake, 2008 remake. Great movie, by the way. 2008 remake was good. And now comparing it to the older one, that's relative. You could say, some think that the older version was better. Some think the remake was better. That's neither here or there. That's all relative. In my opinion, I like the original one better because the original one was just so crazy and outlandish. Although the remake was great. Okay. But yeah, it centers around this mother and her 2 homicidal maniac sons, whom she herself is homicidal, and they basically kidnap these 3 women and hold them hostage, and they do all kinds of horrible things to them. One particular woman, one of the particular college roommates, the 2 brothers. I'm just going to share some stuff with you. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but they essentially do some bad things to this young lady. They, I can't say too much, but they do some things to her that are really, really bad. If filmmakers were to make this film today, they wouldn't get away with any of this. None of this stuff they would get away with. This movie would be banned. The 80s was a crazy time, man. The 70s and 80s was a crazy time. It was a no holds barred time. It was very politically incorrect. You could do and say whatever you wanted to do and say. And it was really, depending on who you ask, it was really a revolutionary time for filmmakers. And Mother's Day was one of those. There are some scenes in the film where at the end of the movie, one of the young ladies, she's doesn't live, and at the end of the film, the two women enact a horrible act of revenge upon the two brothers and the mother. And yeah, I'm not going to say that right there. I'm not going to give away that, but except to say this: there's a part in this movie that where one of the young ladies does something to the brothers. Both of the brothers, they didn't really do a work on them, but one particular scene involving Cristo Drano, okay, and you can imagine what that may be. But one involving Cristo Drano that to this very day, no matter how many times I've watched this film here, that film always makes me want to I can't take it. It's almost hard to watch. And this is a beautiful, a brutal film. Like I said, there isn't a great body count, but it's a brutal film. The special effects are decent. Okay, they're good. They're good for their time. They're not top of the par special effects. There are a couple of scenes where you can tell it's kind of like a mannequin. You say, okay, it's kind of like a mannequin and so forth, but it's still acceptable. When you see the blood spurting, you kind of forget that was a mannequin. Okay, the acting is good. The acting is good, and I say that kind of like in not in a condescending way, because many horror movies, you don't expect the best kind of acting in these films, particularly low budget films like this film here. You don't expect the best kind of acting, but the acting in this film was exceptionally well. For it being an ultra low budget film, it was exceptionally well. The two brothers were really depraved. The mother, she was depraved. I mean, they did a good job. The three college roommates, they did a good job in playing these women that were victimized by these homicidal maniac brothers and mother. And the one particular young lady that did not live throughout the torture enacted by the brothers, she did an exceptionally good job of being the victim, being the person that was terrified and horrified and was victimized by these brothers. So yeah, the acting was well done. It was well done. Special effects was acceptable. Okay, like I said, in terms of certain scenes where it seems like it looks like the particular scene where it looks like it's a mannequin, it's a dummy. That's done away with by the blood that you see spurting. You're like, okay, I like the blood. It displaces the mannequin prop. Okay, all right. But yeah, this film was great, man. Mother's Day was a great film. And here's the crazy part about this film. I saw this film in around like 1983, I believe. 1983. And this was during a time where shopping malls were real big. And I remember my mom had taken me and my sister, my two sisters, to go see this film. I had been asking my mom, I said, Mom, I want to see Mother's Day. I want to see Mother's Day. And the shopping malls at that time, one particular being Randall Park Mall, had what they was called a midnight show. And like I think once every month they would show at midnight obscure, brutal exploitation films. And one of them was Mother's Day. And I had been wanting to see Mother's Day. I used to sit up I would be in school, and a lot of the students, instead of doing their work, they'd be in the back talking about these horror movies that I had never seen. And I recall many of the students talking about this movie called Mother's Day and how they were talking about how good it was. And I said, man, I want to see this film. So I finally got a chance to see it. I begged my mom, take us to go see Mother's Day at the midnight show at Randall Park Mall. Took me, my two sisters, and my cousin to go see this film, and it just blew me away. It just blew me away. And yeah, it was like, wow, I was terrified. And here's another thing too. The movie terrified me. It scared the mess out of me. Now, if you watch it now, it might not be too scary, but back then it scared the mess out of me. There's a lot of scenes in the film that make you jump. It was pretty terrifying. It was also comical in some areas. There's also a lot of comic relief. But I think that the comic relief was more satirical than anything. I don't think, and I wouldn't say that in a negative way towards this film, because it wasn't comedic in a way that it was like a horror comedy. I don't consider it a horror comedy. I've heard of people saying that this is a horror comedy, and I don't believe at all it's a horror comedy. It is a horror movie with elements of comedy in it. Okay, it's not a horror comedy in my opinion, but at any rate, it does have those elements in it. And it makes it kind of eases the brutality of the film, because the movie is very brutal. It deals with some extremely exploitive and scenes in it that today, like I said earlier, would not be shown in films today. I mean, it just more than likely would not be shown. Okay, so yeah, and so I got a chance to actually see this film at Shopping Mall, Random Park Shopping Mall midnight show, and it just blew me away. And I was like, man, I gotta own this film. I gotta own this film. So I ended up eventually purchasing it on DVD. And yeah, this is a crazy movie, man. Check this movie out, Mother's Day. Check out Mother's Day. Charles Kaufman's Mother's Day came out in 1980. It was one of the, like I said, it was one of the films that was at the heyday of the slasher genre, the golden age of the slasher genre, which lasted around like from some argue 1979 to 1983. Probably the best time would be 1980 to 1983. 1980 to 1983 rather than 1979 and 1983. But at any rate, yeah, Mother's Day is a great film. Check it out. Yes, it's old. And I am going to review some more modern films, but I wanted to go over some of these older films for those who may not have seen these older films and want to delve into some of these older films. Go back to them, man. Yeah, they were some of the greatest films out there. Okay, people say, well, you just always into the 80s, man. 80s was a great time for me. It was a great time for me, okay? It was a great time in terms of movies, a great time in terms of music, and it was just a great time. So check out Charles Kaufman's Mother's Day. You guys have a good one.